The Gospels are packed with challenges, and today's passage from Matthew is no exception. Those who would come after me, let them deny themselves and take up their cross and follow me. As men and women who take the gospel to heart, we must come face to face with the primary Christian symbol, the cross. Let's look briefly on this warm summer day at only 2 points today instead of 3. 1, how one person has carried his cross daily, and 2, how do we share in the passion of Christ? If you want to follow him, if you would be his disciple, you take up your cross daily. The point is, salvation is indeed God's free gift, but it is not automatic. The cross of Christ has to be touched to me personally, individually. That all sounds kind of nice, but I'd like to put it in perspective by sharing a story with you. A story about Ray. If you've never been to a homeless shelter, you can meet some very interesting people there. When I lived in Honolulu, we used to go down twice a month with the evening meal for the homeless shelter. 1 week was the Catholic community, and the second week was the Protestant community. And we'd prepare the meal and bring it down and talk with the residents. Ray was 18 when I first met him. He lived in the Honolulu homeless shelter. It was quite an interesting tale he had to tell. He came to Honolulu with his father when he was only 4 years old with his older brother. His father was addicted to gambling, so he moved to Hawaii because there was no gambling in Hawaii, and it was a long and expensive trip to any state that had gambling. So his father had been abandoned by his father when he was young, and so there wasn't a real strong family bonding to begin with. When he was in the 9th grade, his father told Ray to quit Mililani High School and he would do homeschooling. Well, that never worked out very well at all. And he talked to Ray about moving to Phoenix with his mother. So the father called a friend of his in California who had some money and paid for Ray's trip one way to Phoenix. Well, it didn't take Ray too long before he realized that his mother was too poor to take care of him. Instead of going to school, he worked 3 jobs, and almost all the time, just to get by and help his mother and the 2 kids she had with her 3rd husband. He started talking to his father about coming back to Honolulu, but his father kept making excuses about why he couldn't come and why he couldn't return to Hawaii, and so he called this father's friend in California and got a one-way ticket back to Honolulu. Well, when he got back to Hawaii, he discovered why his father didn't want him to come. He had moved in with his girlfriend, and this woman was not interested in the least in having Ray around. So that left Ray to fend for himself. It's pretty hard to get a good job without a high school diploma, so temporarily, Ray lived at the homeless shelter and worked on getting his GED. He had tried twice before. Once the teachers in Hawaii went on strike. The second time was when he left to go to Phoenix. He didn't have any real learning disabilities, except for a slight case of dyslexia. He knew he could pass the test. He just needed to work to earn money to pay for the exam. One night he was crashing with someone on Waikiki, and this guy burnt him on his upper arm with an iron. So the homeless shelter was better than taking potluck on the outside, he figured. So I had to leave for Afghanistan. Before I left, I set him up with a GED program and gave the money to the homeless shelter so that he could take the exam, which I hope he eventually did. But I remember very vividly 4 words he said to me one day. Anyone can be homeless. So where is your cross, your sharing in the passion of Christ? I'm afraid I cannot tell you. You are, each of you, a unique authority on your Calvary. You ever fast except to lose weight? Who matters most in your life? If you had to confess what you want out of human living, would it have anything to do with the crucified Lord? In whom do you see Christ? Only of those you like and who like you? To whom do you give bread and drink? To the hungry and thirsty, or to the well-fed and well-oiled? The church will survive heresy and hatred, sin and persecution. What imperils Christianity is our lukewarmness. Jesus Christ doesn't turn us on. I'm not asking for ceaseless emotion. I'm asking you to live your Christian commitment, to live day after day the dying and rising of Christ. The liturgy, this liturgy, expresses ritually what goes on in the rest of our lives. And what goes on in the rest of our lives is that we live the cross each day. So let's be open this week to helping one brother or one sister carry their cross. I meet the marginalized every day. It's not hard for me in my office, in the Immigration Office for Catholic Charities. But we all can make the gospel come alive for us this week by reaching out to one person who perhaps needs a shoulder to lean on or an ear to listen to. It could make your week.